Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This hadith here, Aisha radiallahu anha narrates that the household of Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam never ate roti or bread made of barley for 2 days, stomach full. So much so that Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam left us from the world. Barley at that time was regarded as a very low grade of food. It was food for the poor people who didn't have a lot of money. They should use barley. So he had to try to explain that low food of a low category also. That type of food also Nabi Sallallahu never have in his home for 2 days to eat stomach full also. The household of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, they also didn't have the living standard was such that for sometime after 2 days they shouldn't have had food enough to fill the stomach also. Another in the hadith is mentioned that when Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam left Makkah Mukarramah and came to Madinah Munawwarah, and they never eat roti or bread made from flour for 3 nights, then continuously. They never eat stomach full food for 3 nights continuously, so much that Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam left them from the world. So what does this mean actually? It means that Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam didn't have so much of provisions by him, by which he could fill his stomach for 3 days consecutively. And in other words, if this was which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was happy with this type of life, this Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted his life from Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if there was something which was besides this, if Allah ta'ala was happy with the people who had a lot of food with themselves, or live a lavish life, or live a very, very comfortable life, Allah ta'ala was happy with that type of life, and definitely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the life to Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It shows here in Nabi Karim sallallahu the life Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam led was acceptable by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was likable by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the reason why Allah ta'ala kept Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam in that condition also. If Nabi Karim sallallahu wished, should have made what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah should have made the other arrangement of Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam was happy with that arrangement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It shows in Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam at that time the Sahaba were very poor. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam lived a life like the Sahaba lived life according to how they were living. So they felt comfortable in that, and they learned how to make sabr when they got nothing with them, and to make shukr also if Allah Ta'ala gives them something also. So this is very, very important for a leader of a community to understand his followers, people who he is living with, and to live like them, so that they can get encouragement and they can live a comfortable life. If Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam should have lived an affluent life with all types of luxuries and comfort, then the poor people, how should they live? It was difficult for them to live. Difficult for them to have patience also, or to make sabr, or to make shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam lived just like them, to show them how to make sabr also, and how to make shukr also at the same time. So if Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he opted for this type of life, and he was happy with this type of life which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to him, then we can understand what is our condition today. Imagine, we can't even think of staying hungry at all. The way our lifestyle is, that we can't even think that how can I stay hungry. Yeah, in other words, Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam started to explain to us also here, practically, that how must we fill our stomach. Fill our stomach with halal food, number one. Number two, don't overeat. When you're going to overeat and go into luxury, then you're going to put sicknesses within yourself. And the amount of time you're going to spend to prepare all that food, and then eat the food, and clean all the mess and the dishes after that also, how much time can you use in there? So much time we use to make ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how much more better would it be? In other words, the criteria by Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not food and luxury, was reality of life in other words. And once Hazrat Ibrahim came and brought a message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah has given sending the option that you want to become a king, or you want to become a servant, a slave you want to become. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam opted to become a servant and not to live like a king. So it shows just life which Nabi Sallallahu adopted also for its own choice, and the choice was such that shows better results. So if Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam have a full life, now what the Sahaba should do? They should try and envy that life, and the result should acquire wealth in haram manner then, just to emulate Nabi Kareem. But now when Nabi Sallallahu was just like them, how they were living, they didn't have that feeling in them to acquire wealth in haram way to live up with the standard also. To show how important this was to understand this. There was once one pious person. He should take flour and should put it into water and drink it up. Someone asked, why are you doing this? He said, I took account to myself that when I take this flour and make it into a roti and cook the roti and eat the roti and chew the roti till the end, it takes me so much time that I can reach 70 times Subhanallah. So I thought, why must I waste that much time also to deprive myself of doing Subhanallah 70 times? Rather, I just put water in the flour, mix it up and drink it up. I'll save so much of time. So much more Subhanallah I can read also. So they had the reality of life within themselves, and the focus was on reality of how to benefit. The luxury was not part of a living system. Hazrat Ura radiallahu anhu, who was the son of Asma radiallahu ta'ala anha, and Asma radiallahu ta'ala anha was the sister of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. Asma radiallahu ta'ala was married to Zubair radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So in other words, Ura radiallahu ta'ala anhu was a nephew of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. He narrates that once he went to Aisha radiallahu ta'ala, his auntie, and Aisha radiallahu ta'ala told him that took oath in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, told my nephew, you should see one moon, pass 1 month, then you should see another moon, and pass another month, and see another moon. In other words, 3 moons you should see, and 2 months was passing in between. That was our condition. That in that condition, the stove in our house we shouldn't light a stove in the house at all. There was no cooking in the house for 2 months. There was no cooking in the home. When he heard this from his auntie, he told us as Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, if this was condition, how should you live then? What should you do for a living? So she replied that we should eat aswadain. Aswadain meant 2 black things. Khajur and water. In olden days, water, you take out water from the well, and on top, when you look in the well, the water looks black from on top. Because of the darkness in the well, the darkness looks black it looks. So she drinks water and khajur. These are the 2 things you should eat and live like this. But at the same time, said I had one Ansari neighbor around us. He had some animals with them. Then sometimes we should bring milk for Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives milk to us to drink. So have roti, bread, or have any meat or any curry. But at least 2 months, that was never in the life at all. So the focus in life and priority in life was not food, was not luxuries. And they had a focus in the life, and according to that they should lead the life. So it teaches us to live a simple life. If you got something, make sure to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you haven't got something, make sure that both this will lead us to success. So here, what is trying to explain in this hadith is that the life Nabi Kareem chose for himself, and he was happy with the life of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That he tried to explain to us. That Umar of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam also like and love that type of life. In other words, when you got nothing, then don't start complaining that I got nothing now. Have patience. No matter what, have patience. I mean, when time will come, Allah will give you those things, whatever it is. And then when Allah gives you some ni'mat, then you go to fulfill the rights of the ni'mat also, and we shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why I find the Sahaba Kiram used to say that we lived in poverty, and that was a very tough examination, and we passed the examination by making sabr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We never opt for haram at all. But the bigger test came when wealth came to us. Now to fulfill the rights of the wealth, and then your desires and hopes, whatever mixes with it, then to control that was very difficult. So it shows when the wealth comes to the person cannot fulfill the rights of the wealth, then the wealth then can become a means of destruction for a person. That's what we find in the world also. People don't destroy anybody. What they do, they shower them with wealth and shower them with women. To put them to two fitness of wealth and fitness of woman, then the person gets destroyed with the two things. So you can see the practical life Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was to teach us how to control ourselves, how to look after ourselves. When a person eats extra food, then the nerves take control of him. Then he has to make a lot of disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when the person is less, the nerves also become weak, and the nerves cannot overpower a person to do something wrong after that. So there's also all the wisdom in eating less also. And look at our condition today. Because of our condition, we cannot eat so little bit, because we are very weak. Our nature has become so weak that we can't emulate that type of life of theirs. So in spite of that, we shouldn't feel them to be very, very low, that they had enough food, that's why they love life like that. But we think that no, that is a better life we lead. We can love life like that also, it will be better for us also. So in other words, we must think that type of life was a better life, because it had multiple benefits in it. One is the health which remains strong, and we see in hadith also we'll find the Sahaba Kiram should go for jihad, how they should fight in jihad from morning till evening should fight. Sometimes they should one khajur or two khajur should fight so much. How they had all the strength was because of that lifestyle they had within themselves. So it shows how important, and now you should like that type of life. You should have a liking for that. Not to say that there were poor people, that's why they didn't have food, whatever there is. No, they don't have liking. Allah give us a chance, and we could have a life like this, whatever, to stay one day hungry also in our life. Don't feel hurt about it. I think at least made the son of our Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam attract son of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This was the life of how Nabi Kareem Sallallahu led life, and gave us understanding from here that we must love that type of life from Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And although we are weak, we cannot love that type of life, but we should love that type of life, whatever it is. Abu Sayyid Mukbari Rahmatullah Alayhi narrates that once Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu was going past a few people who were sitting and talking, have a discussion. And in the discussion they had a meal among themselves. In the meal also there was a roasted mutton was in front of them. In that condition, Abu Hurairah passed them. When he came past them, then these people called Abu Hurairah and invited him to partake of the meal with them. Abu Hurairah stopped for a little while, and after that he refused to partake in that meal. And then he remembered the lifestyle of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and immediately said, and Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's condition was such in his world that he never even have bari roti to eat his stomach full for 2 or 3 days also. And he didn't have, and he never take part in this, eating this roasted meat also now. So at that time the condition was that thought Nabi Kareem Sallallahu overwhelmed him, and because of that he never partake, he never eat of that roasted meat, because he never even, he can't remember that Nabi Sallallahu ate for 2 or 3 days proper meal also he ate. So from keeping that in mind, he's saying, how can I enjoy myself so much when my Nabi Kareem Sallallahu never enjoy eating this type of meal also? This doesn't mean to eat roasted meat or whatever it is haram to eat, is not nice to eat. It doesn't mean that. So what I'm trying to explain here is that how Nabi Sallallahu loved in this world and how he loved the world. That I'm trying to explain it. Nabi Sallallahu loved the world in such a manner they never filled his stomach at all. So it shows that to overeat is not the character of our life. As Anas narrates, the Nabi Kareem Sallallahu never ate on the race platform. So much so that Nabi Kareem Sallallahu left us from this world also. And Nabi Kareem Sallallahu never ate turned rotis also. so much that they left us from this world. In another hadith is mentioned that animals whose skin has been skin taken off, Nabi Sallam never sees such an animal with his own eyes also. In other words, Nabi Sallam didn't have that type of lavish life where everybody had mutton to eat, everybody had some other luxuries to eat in his home. He didn't have that type of life. In other words, he had a very simple life. Whatever was present, he ate. Whatever was present, he should make sabr on that. So here, this word khiwanun means here, in those days, the affluent people should have a small little, have a big dish with a little platform on top. To eat with, do not bow down so much to bow down. So that was a type of food they had. They had an arrangement, eating arrangement they had for the affluent people to have that. And honorable guest comes, we give them to eat in that manner with them. So here it is making this hadith here. And Nabi Karim Sallallahu never ever ate in his life in that type of food, in that style. In other words, in style where the wealthy people eats, that type of style he never eaten. He eat like a normal, ordinary person on the floor. So then, furthermore, Hazrat Anas mentioned that one day he had a roasted meal he was eating, and he said that Nabi Karim Islam never ate roasted meal. So he said that now Allah has given us so much of wealth that now we are able to eat this type of meal also. In other words, he's trying to explain that that time we weren't in the position to eat this type of meal, and now Allah has given us in such a position that we can eat this type of meal. So eat that meal and make shukr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But don't look down upon the lifestyle of Nabi Karim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So here it is mentioned Nabi Karim sallallahu never ate chapati, thin rotis and others. He never ate that. So much so that he left us from the world. And Nabi Karim sallallahu never eat roasted meat in such a manner where he saw the whole animal has been skinned and the whole animal has been cooked in that manner. That type of and food also, and Nabi Karim never see it also. So if you never see that type of animal, then to eat that type of animal, the whole roasted animal, there's no question of that at all. The meaning of this is not that to eat that type of food is not permissible. It is permissible to eat those type of food. There's nothing wrong in that. But our Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam never ate that type of food. He didn't have that type of arrangement at that time. And in the hadith is mentioned also that Anas radiallahu anhu invited the people and fed them this meal also. And at the same time made them aware also that whenever we this type of meal at the time of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, because we didn't have these things. Today Allah has given us ni'mat now. Make shukr of ni'mat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and eat this, enjoy from the ni'mat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he was trying to explain to them that don't love affluent life. Live a life within your means, in other words. When we were studying there in Torah by Azmana Siddiq Sahab Rahmatullah alayhi, their life was very, very simple life they had, village life completely. So one day we invited Hazrat to eat. When our Hazrat Mufti Sahab came, we all invited Hazrat to eat. And that time we prepared a whole chicken. And we brought it to the table to eat. And Hazrat Siddiq Sahab asked him, they said, what is this? What kind of food is this now? Tell him, Murg Musallam hai. So, oh, aisa what a Muslim say. I heard I read in the kitab and heard from people people cook chicken, whole chicken they cook. I haven't seen in my life. First time seeing something like this. So that was their life. That was when they never see something, they can't understand how to eat those things. So yet Nabi Karim started to explain to us that love according to your means. Whatever Allah has given you, love according to that. But the condition is must thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one person was very, very old, over 100 years old. So one person met him and asked him, how you got such a good health, you're so old also, you got good health also. He said, what's the secret in that? He said, secret is that whatever you put in the mouth, make sure you read Bismillah. Even it can be one small little dinner also, you put in the mouth, read Bismillah. Don't forget to read Bismillah, you say. And after you eat whatever it is, don't forget to read Alhamdulillah after that. Don't forget to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. you read Bismillah, then the barakat will come inside. And when you read Alhamdulillah, the sugar will come inside there. That person can never get sick, he said. So it shows that the pious people, they knew this, they studied the small, fine points of the Shariat from the Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and they put it into practice, and it's easy for us to understand this type of things. So Nu'man ibn Bashir radiallahu anhu said, I saw Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that Nabi Karim Sallallahu never even get the low quality or low grade, the lowest grade of khajur also to fill his stomach also. Imagine, one you get the high quality of khajur you get, best quality, choice qualities you get, and one you get the very low quality which is very not expensive at all, and sometimes people just give free of charge also, is low quality. So that type of khajur also, if somebody didn't have to fill his stomach also. In this hadith, the word dakal is used, which means that those khajur become dry and they have got much value attached to it. So sometimes you find, when we also buy khajur also, some khajur you find one two of khajur have become very, very dry and got no tastiness. We call it as a low class, the khajur got no value, they got no tastiness at also. That type of khajur also, they don't have to fill his stomach also. So here also, what trying to draw our attention towards is the type of life Nabi Karim Sallallahu led. In eating and drinking was very minimal. They didn't pay more attention to eating and drinking. They paid more attention towards amal, how to build up their spirituality, how to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That was their biggest focus was on that. And now if you look at our lifestyle and look at that lifestyle, look at their focus in life, look at our focus in life, you can understand how much of difference is in the two. That's why in their life they had barakat. In our life you got no barakat. When we saw people complain, I got no time to read the Quran, I got no time to read the Tasbih, I got no time to do this, I got no time to do that. Why is that? Because we have shifted our focus of our life. That's why we got no time for everything. If we make our focus of life proper, we also have time to read our Quran also, read time for our namaz also, our ibadah, zikr, we have time for everything. Mufti Shafi Sahab Rahmatullah Alayhi, one day he wrote a letter to Hazrat Thanvi Rahmatullah Alayhi while he was studying in the final years. He said, now exam is very near, you'll be busy prepare for exam, so there's no time to read the Quran now. So Thanvi Rahmatullah replied to him that you got to take out time from the time you got. Today you're going to make an excuse, I got no time because of the exam to read Quran. Tomorrow you take some other excuse to take out. Then third you will take out some other excuse to take out. Then you never will read the Quran. So from the time you got available at the moment from you, take up from the 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and make sure you read the Quran from there. Then punctual to read the Quran there. So we like to make excuses for not doing good work, and the Sahaba Kiram need to make excuses how to do good work. That was the difference between us and them. That's why if we analyze our lives also, we analyze our lives also, we see how when we look at try and understand and analyze our namaz, for example. For example, we learn in the primary madrasas, in the Makkah, we learn that Zuhar has got 12 rakats, for example. Isha has got 17 rakats, for example. Maghrib has got 7 rakats, we learn all that. Jummah has got 14 rakats, we learn. Now what is our lifestyle? How are we abiding to that now? We think we learn the madrasa, small madrasa, the Makkah it was just it was for children also, so we don't overlook, we don't worry about it. We don't read our full 12 rakats as Zuhar namaz also. Although we go to the masjid also, we'll read our 2 rakat namaz, and we'll go outside, and we'll talk outside for 10 minutes, no problem. But we won't take out 2 minutes to read 2 rakat namaz. That shows how our nature has changed. Our focus has changed so much in the other direction that we could not value for good actions, how to improve ourselves. So we just got to pay a little bit attention. And so now the people are doing good now because we are leaving out our nafil, they start leaving out sunnah also. So sunnah is not important. For is sufficient for us now. So if there's a case, what happened now? The next level now deliver first leave out now. So it shows how we got to analyze our lives and try and improve our lives system. We've got to read more nafil namaz. We've got to read. For example, a person azan. What's the meaning of azan? Azan means invitation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah invites us for namaz, our responsibility is not to leave all work and go for namaz. Not got to go. When go for namaz, for example, after azan you go there, you do sunnahs, you got 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you got left over now. You sit in the masjid and remember Allah Tasman, make some tasweer, read some Quran, make some zikr, make some dua, whatever it is. These things will bring energy in you, it will energize you, it will refresh you after that. It comes in the hadith that the person goes to the masjid, every step he takes, Allah will forgive his sins. Allah raises his ranks. Allah can give barakat in his life. And we go to the masjid and we enter the masjid with the right foot also, you get sawab of sunnah to get sawab now. Your spiritual is increasing now. You're going to the masjid now and during the namaz, you can get reward for that now. Waiting for the jamaat, Allah says you only waiting for the jamaat, you're doing nothing. You can reward of namaz for that also. And if you're reading Quran, reading tasweer or zikr making, you get extra sawab you're getting also now. Free sawab you're getting now. And then Nabi Karim says that when waiting for namaz, whatever now, Allah Ta'ala sent two farishtas down to make dua for you, for your maghfirah and for barakat for you also. Imagine the creation of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who's got no guna at all, angels making dua for you. How fortunate aren't you now? Now you read namaz with jamaat in the masjid with jamaat, you read on namaz, you're getting 27 times more sawab you're getting now. Imagine how much spiritual is increasing there now. And in the jamaat, if your Amin coincides of the Imam and angels, Allah forgive your sins again now. How much sawab, how much energy, how much energizing yourself in the masjid now. And after namaz, you said little tasbih again for a little while. Remember Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Then Allah sends the same to freshers again to make dua for you again now. Imagine how much your spiritual is increasing in this manner. And at the same time, Nabi Karim said that whatever deficiencies in the first namaz, on the Qiyamah, it will be made up with the nafil namaz. So the more nafil namaz we're reading, to our benefit is going to be. If our first namaz is on par, we got no problem. There's a bonus for us. And if our first namaz not to the required degree, then it will make up that first namaz with our nafil namaz. So still going to benefit now. But if never in nafil namaz, how are we going to get that benefit on the Qiyamah? And now with that perception in mind, now you leave the masjid and reading the dua. Allah min asluka min fadlik, now using dua that Allah help you out. You're in the masjid now, you're in company of the angel farishtas in the masjid, you're not committing any guna at all, whatever it is. Now you're going out into the world, you're going out of the masjid, in the world of the fitna you're going. Now Allah help you out now to achieve halal rizq also and see from other type of guna. The person who does this 5 times a day, how much spiritual will increase? How much more to enjoy life? But here we got time, but see, at the same time we have complained we got no time also. If you can take out time, we can take out time. If you go on the masjid for the azan time, you get 10 minutes for example, you got 5 namaz, you get 5 times, 10 times, 10 minutes to 5 namazes, how much is it now? Close to an hour you got already in the day saving already. How much amal you can complete in that 1 hour you can do. So because we don't want to take out time, that's why we lose out in making amal also. After namaz, for example, we take out just for 5 minutes, sit namaz and make a little bit of ibadah, whatever it is. 5 namazes, you take out 25 minutes you got already got now. How much you can do in 25 minutes? And when look at analyze our daily lives, when you go out to the masjid, what do you do? We talk with that person, we talk with that person, we talk with that person, little while we talk. And time get wasted, and no benefit in there. If you come out after the 5 minutes, still you can talk that person. At least it is something that came out of the masjid. So we don't have muhasab of our lives. That's why we have this problem in our lives. We have this try and make muhasab of ourselves and see where our time is getting lost, getting wasted, and bring that wasted time into use. Then something will benefit. Sometimes you'll find we go somewhere, the people come and somebody is reading nafil namaz. Other people just sit and look at the person in nafil namaz, and after the nafil namaz they'll walk out then. Because they want to meet him, they want to talk to him something, they wait for him, after his nafil namaz, they'll talk to him and go away. But they won't say, I'm waiting for him, that means also was in that time, what I'm going to lose out in there. But they won't, mind don't go towards those type of things. Because our focus has changed completely. If you make excuses, do good work, and come close to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, our free time use it profitably. But until we haven't got a focus in our mind, we won't utilize our free time to do good work. So Allah, just I say, how we make excuses not to do good work, not to do work, we make excuses to do good work. If you have that nature, then you take out time to all the good work, and you want to have the complaint, I can't put my ma'amulat, I can't do this, I can't do that. That excuse won't come, because now you know how to control yourself. And although we cannot love the life of how the Sahaba lived, how Nabi Karim Sallallahu cannot live because we are weak, But at the same time, we must read the works of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We must read it and how they loved, that we can love that type of life also. And if sometimes if some that type of condition could come upon us at any time, to whatever reason, we know how to conduct ourselves, we know how to look after ourselves. For example, we saw in the middle of the year there was riots in Durban, for example. People having good homes, they had good businesses. Instead of more, everything got destroyed. What must we do now? If we know the condition of Nabi Karim Sallallahu, how they loved, how the Sahaba loved, they give us console, we know how to love, we'll make sabr, we'll care with what we got, no problem, we'll manage our way out, whatever it is. We have guidance from you. If we don't read the works of Nabi Karim Sallallahu, how they love, whatever it is, if something could come upon us, difficulty, we won't know how to control ourselves. Then the only thing could come to mind is suicide after that. And there's a bigger guna that is after that. So, to read the works of Nabi Karim Sallallahu, the life of Nabi Karim Sallallahu will help us in many ways. I don't know what time will help us. For example, we want to suffer somewhere. Now we haven't got something to eat for example, the shops are at a distance for half an hour or so, an hour we'll get the next shop. What do you want to do now? The person haven't got that, never learned how to love, stay in hunger, whatever it is. He will start going into tantrums, he'll start complaining, anger building him, and start speaking funny words, whatever it is. But you learn the life of Nabi Karim Sallallahu, you have the patience. No, we'll for another hour, what's wrong now? 1 hour more, what's wrong in that? He'll wait for the hour and control himself. So we'll know how to control ourselves. When we read the works of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the life of Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, it will help us to control ourselves. Although we are weak, we cannot live like that, but we can control ourselves. Hazrat Sal Ibn Sa'd radiallahu anhu narrates from the Nabi Karim Sallallahu never ate roti made from flour. Since Allah made Nabi Karim Sallallahu a Nabi, until the time he passed away, he never ate roti made from flour. Hazrat Ibn Sa'd radiallahu anhu asked Nabi Karim Sallallahu that in that time, that didn't Nabi Karim Sallallahu have a sieve to sift the flour to make roti from it? Said Nabi Karim Sallallahu never ever saw a sieve in his life, you see. Then Nabi Sallallahu passed away, he never saw a sieve in his life. Then the person asked him that how should you make the roti from the barley you make without sifting it? So he said what we should do, we should grind the barley, and after you should blow the husk off, and you should make our roti after that. That was to make bread or roti. If you've got a lot of husk inside, it has to be dry, and dry won't bind the dough. But that you cannot make a big roti. They couldn't understand how is possible. How did they eat? They never served the flour. How did they make rotis? So you asked that question to the Sahab. How does make a roti? In other words, then so you explained to them that we should blow the dry husk out, and the flour should remain. And with that we should make the roti. In olden days, we know our ladies at home also had like a tray head of made of straw, and if you put the rice in it, you shake the rice and take out all the dust will come out like that. They said no stuff that. That's what they should do. Same thing again Sahab also, you should just blow the thing out. And said whenever barley, when you take barley and grind the barley, a lot of husk come from there, a lot of the shell come from there. So that we cannot make a roti over that. You got to take it out, then only can make a roti. So they couldn't understand this. They started to ask this question: how should we make a roti? How should we eat the roti then? So it explained this is how we should grind flour. We should take out the husk, bring it out, and make the roti after that. Afterwards, we'll find many health shops will say now must eat bread with the husk inside, with the grain. Don't have very fine grain inside whatever it is for health. So now they're saying that Nabi Islam taught already that time how we must live already. So it shows how whatever style Nabi Islam taught us from that time is still present till today also. If you follow that style, then you will benefit always. So it's explained that we need the dough also. You need to take out that husk in other words. Like how in the beginning of this chapter it was mentioned also that Imam Ravi Rahmatullah has brought about those ahadith and those ayat of the Quran to show us the virtues of how to stay hungry also, how to be mujahid, to exert ourselves also, how to live under constrained situations, how to live on that. That has been mentioned here. In other words, first we can understand and educate ourselves. If something comes upon us, then we know how to live ourselves. We don't have to complain. And we know very well that the lifestyle which Nabi Karim Sallallahu has chosen for himself, there's no better life than that. So we also got to try and practice and put stuff on Nabi Karim Sallallahu, and again read the history of Nabi Karim Sallallahu to understand and prepare our minds that this is how we could live. This is the better way of living. And we see now, look at our lives also, we'll see now, we eat so much, but the result, we got so much sicknesses we got within ourselves. And they didn't have any sicknesses. One place, the British, they went and they saw in one place, saw that the Muslims, they were very strong and healthy. They were. Couldn't understand why. They made a research, you see. They said that the type of water they drank and how they drank the water, when they drank the water, that was the cause of the good health. So they put them into eating extra food now, fill their bellies up, and they became sick after they became. One place there was a place where somebody sent the Hakim to go and see, to look after the people, to treat the people. When they saw for one whole year, he said, and nobody was sick. So he came to find out why nobody is getting sick. And they made inquiries and made assessment, they found that then nobody should eat food till they get hungry. Only they get hungry, and then they only eat food. The Hakim said this is the cause why they don't get sick. So they don't overeat themselves. So these are small points we learn from here. We think maybe because of poverty, is not that also. Not only poverty, because our health reason also. The less we eat, the better, the more healthy will remain. And the doctors also say us now, analyze our system. We spend so much money eating lavish food, and we pick up so much of weight. Then we spend money to reduce our weight now. Then we spend money to cure ourselves after that now. So you spend money to get sick also, and I get money to cure yourself. So what logic is there in that now? Initially, if you look after yourself and don't get sick or whatever, then you won't have the money to spend money on medication also. So this smaller points. So that's when the Karim said, when you eat also, then you have to make 3 parts in your stomach. One part is for food, one part for water, one part for air for a digestion. Leave it empty for digestion, but leave it. And we don't worry. We don't eat so much for our stomach up. There's no space left. Now we want pills for digestion now. You want pills for acidity. You want this medicine, that medicine. You have to look after yourself now. What's the benefit of that? Some place, when they said they now eat, they never enjoy the food. You never eat or what? You ate how much I needed. How much eat more than what I needed. That has to give an example. Say if somebody bring in India, after you eat, they bring for you pan and the plate to eat, pan and some sauce they put out whatever it is. So say if somebody brings the pan plate for you after you had a nice big heavy meal, how much are you going to eat all the pan in the plate? No, you eat how much you want. You take one and give it to the other person. Finish. The same, and eat how much is necessary. Leave other for somebody else. Because we become so greedy, we want to eat everything and don't leave anything for anybody else. Then that's where you have the problem. If you have a quality of sacrifice for somebody else, then this doesn't happen then. Because let's give somebody else. Like you'll find olden days, you'll find the old ladies in homes, what do? She cook the food and feed the children. And what the food left over, they keep it one side. When the next meal comes, they make sure they get fresh food for the children. The stale food they eat themselves. So and they give fresh food to the children. But yet, when the same children grow up, then they forget all that. So it shows how life changes as time goes past. But if you read the condition of our pious people, Sahab, Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we cannot understand how to conduct our lives or how to do in our lives. So it's important we learn the Sirat of Nabi Karim Sallallahu to look after ourselves also. Allah give us tawfiq of understanding, practicing, and even if you could go undergo any type of hardships or difficulties also, that got nothing to do with our lives. That makes us more strong. It makes us. The person, for example, doesn't make exercises. He doesn't practice, for example, how to play the game, how to win the game. You got to undergo the training and the difficulties to win that game. The same manner, if you go under difficulties, that's how we become a proper human being will become, insan will become. We know how to conduct ourselves. All the small things we learned in the kitabs, in the hadiths we learn, is for our own benefit it is. The more we practice the more we're going to benefit. You find, like, for example, here now, as Abu Hurairah narrates He said that you must have seen that in the time of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, where the house of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, I was Aisha radiallahu anhu, and a member, that place is called Riyadul Jannah. The time should come and I felt unconscious at that place there. People should think I'm called sick. There's the much sickness called Mirigi they call, and it's called seizures. For example, we call it seizures nowadays. We call it. When that happened, that certain type of seizure was such that the treatment for it was to put the foot on one of the veins here and activate the veins, and the consciousness gain consciousness after it. So people should come and put their feet onto me to regain consciousness. But what he said, I was not sick at all. I should fall down unconscious because of hunger. Nothing because of hunger it was. So that was the condition, he said. At that time my condition was like that, he said. It shows from here that Sahaba at that time, they were not very wealthy also. At the same time, Nabi Kareem also wasn't wealthy also. If they had food, they should definitely given them food to eat. Because they had no food to eat, that's why the condition of stay hunger for so many days, to stay hunger. And Abu Hurairah, when he came to Medina Munawwara, that time he was part of the people of Sufa. He sat on Sufa and just learned deen from Nabi Kareem sallallahu. That's why he narrated hadith from Nabi Kareem, because his work only to learn deen. He was a student in the Madrasa of Nabi Kareem sallallahu in other words. As Aisha narrates that Nabi Kareem sallallahu passed away in such condition that he had to buy 3 sa, a measure of barley to feed the people in the home, but he didn't have money to buy it. So he took his armor and gave it to the Jew as a guarantee, understand? That when I pay the money, he'll give my armor back to me. But he didn't have time to pay that money, and the armor was still by the Jew, and Nabi Kareem Sallallahu passed away. That was the condition, for necessity, he had to do this also. So here now Nabi Sallallahu explained to us, to see when there's a necessity, how much look after yourself. This is how you can look after yourself, and instead of begging, do something which is more honorable, respectable. It's apparent that when the person got his own necessities, basic needs, he's going to fulfill his basic needs, then the person haven't got so much of money, then what must he do then? Now Nabi Kareem Sallallahu showed the way that, look, whatever you got, keep it there as a guarantee there, and take some money, loan, whatever it is. When you got the money, you pay back and take back the thing. And if you can't manage it all, then that person can sell that thing, whatever, takes money back. So to give somebody assurance to somebody that no matter what I'm taking, you are covered with it. So this shows that at that time Nabi Kareem Sallallahu didn't have so much of wealth by him also to fulfill his necessities also. When you listen to and analyze the situation here also, some time back, when Israel, Golda Meir was a prime minister there, and from America the Minister of Defense came there and to meet her and tell her, what I want to supply you ammunition. I've got a very good quality ammunition. Take the ammunition and look after support yourself. And initially she refused. She said, no, what am I going to do with ammunition? My people need food, they're poor at the moment. So afterwards he explained to her that militarily wise, if you're strong, then nobody can harm you after that. He explained all the benefits. So he said, no, look, I can't make any decision now. I'll go to the parliament. The next time, when then she put this idea front to them, all of them oppose it. He said, how is it possible? Then she explained to them, no matter what you eat, little or you never eat, or hungry also, nobody wants to see what is in your stomach. But she sacrificed that, hunger, whatever it is, we sacrifice that out of and buy this ammunition and enrich ourselves militarily, and we fight and defend ourselves. Then the time will come and people say we have won the territory, but they won't say what difficulties under it. They will discuss the difficulties. They will say they have won the battle, let's say. So they understood that and they accepted the explanation of her, and they bought weapons. They bought, and with the weapons, this was oppression to Palestinians, and then they took all the territory, took over the territory. So one lady who was a journalist went to take an interview of her at that time. So she said, look, I'll give you an interview, but we can't publish an interview. So okay, no problem. So she took the interview and asked her, how the idea came to your mind that must enrich yourself with military power. You see, I studied the works of Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I got the idea from there. See, when Nabi Karim passed away, he left behind a sword, and that armor was about by the Jew. He left ammunition behind, nothing more than that. And from the lesson, that the important thing is ammunition, not food. Food is secondary thing, you see. Even if she left food behind and have a good lavish life, so that was important. So the important was to look after yourself, defend yourself. That is more important. So that's why I opted for defending myself, and that's why you got so much success you got. So that the journalist, she said, after Gulamia died, then only she revealed this interview of her, because she promised it out, she won't release it while she's alive. So they studied Deen so much in detail that they knew how to conduct themselves and how to enrich themselves. And we got Deen with ourselves, we are not prepared to learn the Deen and take lessons from there. So Allah Ta'ala gives tawfiq of understanding and practicing, and to encourage ourselves to learn more of Deen, to get inspiration from Deen and improve our lives also. Subhanallah,